Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Fan Focus by Anfield Index. It is Tuesday, the 2nd of December, and well, a bit longer than 24 hours' time. Sunderland will visit Anfield, won't they? And this morning, we had Arne Slot up at AXA doing his presser. We've also had reactions to the West Ham game, a win, thank Christ. There's also transfer links because why not? We're in December now, aren't we? Less than a month till the window opens. There is a million and one things to talk about. I'm your host, Dave Davis, coming to you from it's sunny, but it's cold in Edinburgh. It seems to be pretty standard at the moment, but it's not pishing it down, so we'll take that. So fingers crossed, it's nice in the world wherever you are. And the comments started, because that's what we're about on Fan Focus, fan takes, fan insight, what's also going on in the wider Liverpool world. And shout out there to Mr. 365 Boy. He said straight away, morning Dave, looking forward to the next game. We need to be tough and on the front foot against Sunderland. Think we could get more out of this team under another manager, personally. It's a bit of a stay of execution, I would say, the win over West Ham for Arne Slot. It's definitely not a corner turned. You could go too far on that. But it's important to say he was pretty bullish at the presser today. He was asked about social media, the support, and he made a good joke, to be fair, about the City and the Forest game. But he said this specifically, and shout out to Slotaholic for this one. I don't have social media, so I don't see the abuse, but I know it's there. What I do feel is the support from the fans inside the stadium. They sing for the team, and they sing for me. To be fair, the travelling cop are always magnificent. We all know that. We don't need to be told that at all. And they did sing Arne Slot's name on Sunday at the Olympic Stadium. That is completely true to say. The other thing, though, is, to support fans inside the stadium. I go to the games, and let's be clear, there was booing at PSV. We all heard it, even if you're on the TV. So we know that was the case. And also, there wasn't exactly a great love, shall we say, a great support for Arne Slot after the Nottingham Forest defeat at Anfield either. So he needs to rectify that. Back-to-back defeats at Anfield is just never acceptable, full stop. So you'll feel the love now, but it's got to keep going quite quickly, hasn't it? And we'll talk a little bit more about tomorrow night shortly. In terms of other little updates from the pressers, we got an injury update. Well, we got multiple injury updates, but one positive, to be fair. So we did confirm that Conor Bradley is back in team training and should be available for Leeds at the weekend. That feels absolutely massive. Jeremy Frimpong is expected to be back in team training next week. So what he said was, because Frimpong will be back in team training, he'll miss that whole raft of games that way. But Conor Bradley being back, a natural right back, that would be absolutely perfect for us. And what it would also mean is, because we had a few worries about Joe Gomez and how many games he could play, he goes again on Wednesday, doesn't he? Because you've got the alternate of Conor Bradley back at the same time as well. We'll see, eh? Maybe. You can't be uber positive with everything that's going on, but some positives there. In terms of a specific day, and you'll take this how you will, it was confirmed as well that Mo Salah will go to AFCON on December the 15th. Brian at Anfield will be his final game of the year for Liverpool. So Brighton is the 13th of December, isn't it? 11 days from now. So that will be the end game for Mo Salah before AFCON, which, if you think of it, means we've got him for 3 more, haven't we? Because we could have him for Sunderland on Wednesday, Leeds at the weekend, and then the Brighton get. And of course, you'll say the Champions League in between, of course, but 3 league games, it's important to say. He was also asked again, and of course he's going to be asked again, about Mo Salah in this one, because he was asked before the game, he was asked after the game, and it's Mo Salah. So he's going to be asked in the press conference about it as well. And he said, of course a player isn't happy he isn't playing. He wasn't the only one. The way he behaved was as you would expect from the professional he is. He was very supportive to his teammates and handled himself very well. Now, we've seen a Mo Salah reaction on the touchline. That was with Jurgen Klopp, wasn't it, at the Olympic Stadium before? And internally, seething, absolutely raging. But, and it almost sounds a bit like sacrilege saying this, it was understandable, wasn't it? It really was. And in fact, the overall balance of the team looked better. Talked about it with David Lynch on Media Matters yesterday, and a few tweeted this at the same time as well. It was a must-win game for Arne Slot. A must-win. You knew it was in terms of, well, for Liverpool anyway, but for him and his future. And he put Mo Salah on the bench. Now, you can say, yeah, we've got to play a game, 10, 14, but you only got him for a few, as you knew before AFCON. I think that's telling. A must-win game, Arne Slot put Mo Salah on the bench. So, of course, that was going to be asked about at the presser. And shout out to Taylor's Red for this one, because I think this is important to mention. A lot of fans on my timeline or in my mention seem to be writing off Salah because we won a game against a struggling West Ham. He's not in good form, but you write off Salah at your peril. And I thought this was a good reply here to it from LFC Wild, saying, definitely should not be writing him off. But also, this season will inevitably be the start of seeing how, if the team operates when he does finally leave. Wirtz and Isak are the future, but Salah will very much be needed this season. I thought two fair tweets, to be honest. Bang on the money that I won't bet any money against Mo Salah netting in one of these games before I expect it, to be honest, before he heads to AFCON. But it's true. We did get a glimpse of the future, it felt a little bit. You know, a Mo Salah-less Liverpool. It's the first time since that Everton in lockdown that he's not come on for a single minute. So, yeah, it was interesting. And probably the final one I'll give you from the presser, because this was when he talked about, and we'll move to the Sunderland game slightly later, but this one, because he was asked about Isak, Wirtz and Gomez and saying, and you know, their fitness and their minutes, and a journalist kind of prompted him, so that means they won't be able to go again. And he said, well, no, they're not able to play 90 minutes, that's for sure. So maybe Joe Gomez, Isak, Wirtz can go again, just maybe not for 90 minutes. So you've got a lot of things from that presser, to be fair. In terms of everything else that's been around fans and social media, yeah, there's been a lot of talk about the West Ham. It wasn't anything glorious by any means, was it? But at the same time, there are certain things you just start to wonder about. And there's been a good few tweets or takes on this. So first of all, shout out to Brand Barry. This was important to recognise. 0 points lost from winning position in the league this season. 0 points won from losing positions in the league this season. I reckon we should just keep scoring first. Pretty telling, isn't it? I mean, yeah, we score, we tend to win. We concede first, we tend to lose. And Christ, have we conceded a lot and early recently at the same time. You kind of hope that second stat changes in the near future, but I think it's telling about the mentality of this team this season. And yet, despite all this, people, we're only 4 points off second place. It's still processing that, as a few of you have tweeted as I'm looking now. To have been utter gash, will be 4 points off second place. Maybe that just says a little bit about this league at the moment in time. Now, for the West Ham game, out of all the tweets I saw from various fans, and I don't like saying this because his personality can be a little bit lacking at times, but his analysis isn't here. And Sam Maguire, I think, absolutely hit the nail on the head for a lot of this. So I don't think it's coincidence that Isak looked the most dangerous he's been for Liverpool after Arne Slot changed up the dynamic to suit the number 9. And you can't disagree with that. Instead of being sandwiched between two shot-heavy wide forwards, as we know he has often been with Gakpo and Salah, we had more of a right-sided midfielder against West Ham into Bosley. He was basically a facilitator. And you saw that the heat map so different to what you'd expect from Salah and anyone else. And this was key as well. Gomez was a traditional fullback, keeping the width, stretching the play, and looking to get the ball into the box. It just seemed to suit Alexander Isak and Florian Wirtz more than anyone, didn't it? Dominic Szoboszlai and Joe Gomez quite often getting chalk on their boots. And as Sam says there, facilitating, making things happen, crossing the ball into the box, quite often providing service for Isak at the same time. It just looked so different. There's a few other good bits in this thread, I should say, as well, that it's worth sharing. So the first one around Gakpo, because it still happened. Cody Gakpo still cut in from the left, but he was making more runs in behind than usual, likely result of Wirtz being in the team. We also had Kerkez playing more of his natural game. Easily Milos Kerkez's best game in a Liverpool shirt, and again, you'll talk about the opposition and get that, but that's a factor. But also, Gakpo making those runs. And as Sam also mentioned in this thread, our counter-pressing was loads better, as was our build-up. Helps when you're able to get Szoboszlai and Wirtz into central areas. And again, people will have different takes on that, but you do start to wonder now, like, that style, that setup gets the most out of Wirtz and Isak. Having fullbacks or players like Szoboszlai, you get almost chalk on the boots and wide, cross it in, making things happen, stretching the play. Kerkez the same down the left-hand side. My opinion, because this is what it's about with fan focus and how we take things, you're always getting to the stage of, is it a situation where you can't play Salah and Gakpo almost at the same time because of what they do from wide forward and almost want to cut in, shoot, that type of thing? You do just wonder on that, don't you? But plenty of good takes. And as LFC Ekiteki says there, thinks we should build the team around Wirtz and Isak. We have to stop punching everything to Salah. I think as it says, we write Mo Salah off at our absolute peril, as was mentioned before. But at the same time, well, it's not long till he pops off to AFCON now, isn't it? A couple of weeks. So maybe this is the way forward in this interim period. In terms of other good tweets or other good accounts, shout out to Counter Pressers for this one, because there's a few bits, and annoyingly, I can't play this bit of footage, but you may remember it. It's the one where McAllister fires it in to Florian Wirtz there, just that little clever touch round the corner. As he says, Counter Pressers here, micro moments like these highlight the true genius of Florian Wirtz. Drifts away from McAllister to create space whilst maintaining the passing lane, constantly scanning, looking to gather more and more information, spots Gravenberch as the free man, and steps up for the combination around the corner. What a footballing mind. I think we saw that, didn't we, on Sunday, that Florian Wirtz almost announces himself to the Premier League a little bit at the same time. Yeah, just clever, just looked a level above everyone else. Almost like a Thiago as well, the pass before the pass, the playmaker. Just an absolute genius of a footballer. Mr. 365 boy say that I cannot remember Gakpo feeding Kerkez at any attack, always goes inside. But it was the best game for Kerkez for a while, and Gakpo got a goal and assists. We will talk Gakpo a little bit more, so we've got to put that in mind as well. And as we drift into talking about Cody Gakpo and a little bit on Florian Wirtz, let's link the two here, because shout out to Taintless Red for this one. Do you remember that bit where Wirtz did a little turn and fires it beautifully there into Cody Gakpo's path, but doesn't control it and it goes amiss? And as Taintless Red said, this was a big chance for Gakpo, but Opta won't count it as a chance, even because basically Gakpo didn't shoot. He needed a decent touch on his right to move inside the defender, then hit it straight away with his left, but he hates using his left foot, so he didn't attempt that, but miscontrolled anyway. Probably one of the deficiencies with Cody Gakpo, isn't it? It's so one-footed. Very occasionally he will try and go down the line and cross it with his left, but it never really works to anything. Does it at the same time. But ultimately, just another class moment. Just a brilliant performance all round for Florian Wirtz. And one look over social media, as you should be, you're all massively excited by this one, aren't you? In terms of tweet of the week, which we always like to do from fans, I bet you like this one. This is absolutely spot on. And I don't really care if you call me sexist because it's just funny. But when Tyre tweeted, women deal with periods, pregnancy and menopause. What do men deal with? As Pop Nudie Fridge put there, Gakpo cutting in from the left. So true, isn't it? We got it against West Ham, didn't we? We got the cut-in and the skyer. We were waiting for it. We saw it a few times. Was used, as we said, in a slightly different role. Maybe with Wirtz being there. It was interesting because how critical are you of Cody Gakpo in this? Because shout out to Rory Greenfield for this one as well, as he tweeted. Gakpo has a goal and assist. Despite being largely awful, it's a weird sport. It is, because we've got to balance it with... I mean, he was terrible in the first half, as we saw those moments where he miscontrols it and loses it so often. And a 61% pass completion. Yeesh. But we praise Mo, don't we? When he gets a goal and assist. And sometimes he hasn't done much in a game, and then he gets eulogised over, quite rightly. So, you know, the praise is going to be as loud as the criticism. You've got to give Gakpo something from that game. Yeah? And Vinicio there saying, think you're right, we cannot play both Salah and Gakpo as starters. Both hog the ball. Shoot when a pass is on. Don't give Isak or Ekatike enough service. And give the ball away far too cheaply. I also think as well, as you saw different on Sunday, the players in that team pressed and counter-pressed quite well. When you have Salah and Gakpo, you just can't. They are not built that way at all. It's hard to say though, isn't it? Because Salah's off to AFCON soon. We'll have to see how he sets up on Wednesday, but we'll come to that shortly. And the only other one I really want to sort of touch upon from the other night is this one, and shout out to Moby for this, saying, interesting to find out that Alexis said he felt well physically for a long time, even though many people thought he wasn't fit. He also shared that he speaks in Spanish with Isak, who must have picked it up nicely while he was playing in Spain. I adore Alexis McAllister. What a player on his day. And last season, I said it repeatedly, the best midfielder in the Premier League, not interested in any counter-arguments. This season right now, though, and even genuinely even on Sunday, it looks at times like Alexis McAllister is running around with almost a parachute on his back, although he's just, done a 10k run and then come and play football. It's almost like he just can't accelerate like he used to, or just move or get his body working at the same speed as his mind somewhat. And it's interesting because we've all talked about his lack of pre-season, the injury from last season, being rested on international duty, but that's Alexis McAllister, as he did that interview, and shout out to Beth Lindup, he did that for ESPN, saying, no, well, good and fine, felt well physically for a long time. But we're not really seeing it if we're deadly honest at the same time. I hope we have to change that, or we're talking about that in a different way shortly. And let's just be clear on this, because I wanted to save this separate. I know I said I mentioned the game, but a little bit of Joey Gomez props as well. And shout out Simon Brundish, who tweeted this. Joe Gomez didn't have much to do defensively. West Ham or utter wank. Yes, they were. But in possession, he was awesome for a right back. Ping passes, brilliant crosses, and pullbacks. And he was picked on. A few others tweeted this, but shout out to Beth Lindup, who, to be fair, is top of the Patch Journo tweet rankings right now. She said, there's not a Liverpool player I'd like to see get a solid run in the team more than Joe Gomez. A model professional who showed today how important he can be to this team, providing he stays fit. Yeah, and Lelo Siakateki there saying, Gomez was brilliant, loved that performance. I love Joe Gomez getting props, and maybe you just wonder when you see that, on a slot, why didn't you use him earlier? It is one game, as Simon said. West Ham are utter wank. They were easily the worst team we played this season, but you looked at the heat map from Sam Maguire as well. Just solid, wasn't he? Efficient. got chalk on his boot quite often, crossed it, just stretched the pitch a little bit differently from us. And we've got to start now against Sunderland, especially as we know Conor Bradley should be available for Leeds at the weekend as well. So now you're thinking that, I know Conor Bradley likes to underlap, doesn't he? Maybe rather than overlap in a different type of fullback. You'll all have your debates whether we need a right back as well, but it is just something for Liverpool to consider at the moment, isn't it? So some cracking tweets, some cracking interactions from fans to shout out to all that got covered. In terms of Patch Journo talk, I did say Beth Linda is easily top at the moment of the LFC Patch Journo tweeters, although a good one this week coming into the charts from James Pearce saying, yes, West Ham were poor, but some much needed positives for Slot to build on from that after a horrid period. Gomez's inclusion made a huge difference. Kirk has his best display from LFC by some distance. Wirtz played with a swagger and a weight lifted off Isaac's shoulders. All fair, all pertinent points. So that's Lindop going top, James Pearce coming up the rankings. David Lynch and Lewis Steele have got some work to do. And Lee there as well saying, I'd keep Joe at right back for the foreseeable future to make sure we're solid. Definitely want him. Definitely, and Mr. 365 boy agrees there, for Sunderland, but he's made a quavers, Joe Gomez, isn't he? I adore the player. He's such a popular guy. He's well loved within the club. And, he looks solid, but there's a couple of things there, isn't there? It's West Ham away, so we need to see if he can do it for a bit of a run. But also, when we talk about a bit of a run, how many minutes and how many games before he breaks down? That is ultimately your big Joe Gomez question. In terms of other Patch Journo bits, did have media matters late last night after a power cut issue, take 2. But probably the highlight of one was David Lynch also talking about Cody Gakpo. So let's see what he said on this one.
Yeah, it's a difficult one with him. He's very, very hard to rate at times, I think. But, he is still, to get a goal and assist in a game where Liverpool have won the game by 2 goals, you've got to kind of tip your cap to that, haven't you, and say that's a pretty decent effort. So, yeah, he can be frustrating at times, but he's still an important member of this squad, I'd say.
We've got to be fair, because we've had some games from Mo Salah where we thought he's not really done anything, then he comes up with a goal and assist and changes it. So, it's got to be balanced in that regard. But, yeah, there is still a few question marks there. But listen, every time Liverpool win 2-0, and the way it's going at the moment, we will take it all day long. So, it's funny, isn't it, the way it's put, and he put it, it's hard to rate the player. It is, but he's also incredibly frustrating, Cody Gakpo. And you do wonder in all of this, now Florian Wirtz is fit, and he plays so well on the weekend, where is he going to play? Because a lot have been clamouring for that. And I understand this, me personally as well, Florian Wirtz off the left instead of Gakpo, allowing Kirkes to bomb on, overlap, and letting him sort of create a bit, essentially what we saw against Real Madrid, with a bit of freedom as well, not chained to the left by any means, because that's what he did for Leverkusen. But Gakpo is Arne Slot's boy, isn't he? It's going to be so interesting, even for these few games before Salah goes to AFCON. How is that team going to evolve?